Man, who's going to beat Gordon Ryan? How are they going to beat him? Let's talk about it. Guys, my name is Bill Jones. I'm the head instructor of top level martial arts in beautiful downtown Cuyahoga Falls. I'm a black belt under Master Pedro Sauer and Tony Rinaldi. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, leave some comments. Let me know your thoughts on this stuff. All right, so this topic actually comes from a question asked on one of my Facebook groups, and I'm gonna paraphrase it and read it here. It says, "Question for the history nerds: When the greats lost, why did they lose? Were they outworked? Was there just a new development in the sport, or that they were just behind on? Did they age out of it?" And what he's leading to here is the hypothetical question of, why will Gordon Ryan lose? Is it going to be someone younger, better strategy, smarter, healthier? What is it going to be that causes Gordon Ryan to lose? So that's a loaded question. There's a lot of things we could talk about with this. And full disclosure, I actually talked about this. I shot this video once, and it was almost 20 minutes long. And I decided that was too long, so I'm reshooting it and going to try to be a little more concise in my thoughts. Let's start with this, because it's a loaded question. In the first part of it is, why did the greats lose? Well, I mean, to do that, we have to talk about who are the greats, and I can talk about a few matches that stand out in my head, or a few things that stand out in my head from Jiu-Jitsu history. But the first one is Helio Gracie versus Kimura. And of course, if you're a history buff, you know that there's a lot of argument around how good was Helio Gracie. What did he really know? But I think that's what I'm getting down to, is he is considered one of the greats of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And why did he lose? Well, he was simply outclassed. He was outclassed and outsized. And Kimura knocked him unconscious with a throw. He broke the arm and was about to break it again. They had to throw in the towel. I mean, Helio got just significantly thrashed by the champion. And why did that happen? Outclassed, outmatched. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that the Gracie family had not learned that much jiu-jitsu at that time. They didn't know the whole art. They had to figure a lot of stuff out on their own, which is cool. It's cool that they did that. And you can read Robert Drysdale's book, and there's a lot of history there to be learned. But he was a lot smaller as well. And interesting fact: no lightweight has ever won the Abu Dhabi Combat Championship absolute. So you don't typically see that happen, even though it can happen. What about another one? Let's look at maybe Marcelo Garcia. Marcelo Garcia and Pablo Popovich have famously faced each other 3 times in Abu Dhabi, with Marcelo winning the first 2 of those encounters, and then Pablo finally beating him in the third one. Pablo eventually won on points, so it was more of a strategy win, right? It wasn't he was that much better. In fact, he'd lost by submission the first 2 times they met, and Marcelo took the crown. But the third time they met, Pablo managed to win because of strategy. He scored a 2-point takedown, and then managed to kind of ride that lead out to the end of the match. He knelt the ball, so to speak. That's just the way the game works. When you're playing it as a game, that it is a game at that point. That's what you do. You play to win, and you play to your outs. And at that point, Pablo knew his out was win on these 2 points. Walk out as an Abu Dhabi champion. What about say Ryan Hall versus BJ Penn? Why did BJ Penn lose? BJ Penn lost there because Ryan Hall was technically superior in that position. I think it was another both technical and tactical choice, and I think you had a bit of an age gap. I think Ryan Hall was 7 to 8 years younger than BJ Penn, and still is. That's just how math works. So why did he lose? An amazing entrance into the rear side 50-50, and it it was not a, a lot of people call it an Eminari roll. It was not an Eminari roll. It was a rear 50-50 entrance. And it was phenomenal watch. There's phenomenal breakdowns of it on YouTube. I highly recommend you look them up. Maybe I'll post some in the comments below, or in the description rather. But BJ Penn tried to backstep, which everybody was like, why would you ever backstep? Well, in a 50-50 heel hook, you can typically do that. But it depends. So if this is the ground and this is Ryan Hall, and his front side is, his chest is here and his back is here, top shoulder, bottom shoulder. If he's tilted it all backwards, which a lot of people are on these types of entrances, they're grabbing the heel hook and their back shoulder or their top shoulder is kind of close, like facing the ground. Well, then you can backstep and force that person into a front side 50-50 and defend the heel hook from there, which is what BJ Penn tried to do. Problem was Ryan Hall is extremely good at that position, and he was tilted forward, which means that when you go to backstep, you're just going to tear up your knee. So in other words, he applied it properly, and so BJ's defense didn't work. So he lost. That's just what happened. So what was that? I think that was a technical. Technically, Ryan Hall is better, especially in that position, than almost anybody in the world, and BJ Penn included. Was it because BJ Penn didn't know leg locks? No, he knows leg locks, but he maybe doesn't know that position as well, and was in the middle of a fight and was hoping to make something happen, right? He's also game as fuck. So, he was trying to turn real quick, heel slip, and then start beating the piss out of the guy, and it just didn't happen. Age may have played a factor, but it was a pretty quick fight, so probably not. And then, this leads us to maybe some more recent matches. The last time Gordon Ryan faced Nicky Rodriguez, he almost lost, right? And I mean, you could argue that he did lose, depending on how you look at that. He had his foot broken, or ligaments torn, whatever. He was popped with a toe hold, and ended the match in a very tight mandibular rear naked choke, which probably would have finished him if there was a little more time on the clock. So who knows what happens if he didn't lose, but who knows what happens if there's 10 more seconds on that clock, right? So what's the path to victory? Well, Matt Arroyo puts out a good video. I think it's a short about this exact subject, and he believes, and I think he makes a great argument, that the best way to beat Gordon Ryan, and one is you have to be extremely skilled, right? Like, I'm not going to be able to do it, but you need someone who understands leg locks well enough to either enter the legs from the bottom and get in on a heel hook or something, because otherwise he's just going to pass the guard and give you problems there. Or get him to agree to EBI overtime rules, ride out the match, and then try to beat him in the overtime, either with ride time or a lucky submission there, because that's where people have beaten him before. Craig Jones famously broke his arm there, despite not winning the match, but still broke his arm. His words, not mine. Those are Gordon's words. I was at a seminar where he said Craig Jones broke my arm. But that's where you're most likely to beat him until he gets out of his physical prime. So that's the other way, is maybe he wins a few more matches and he's able to kind of ride it. Once he gets out of his physical prime, if he doesn't retire in a smart way or start taking matches that make sense in retirement, if he's trying to do, say, what he and Andre Galvin did, where Andre's 41 years old, trying to take on a 28-year-old, greatest grappler of all time, that's not a likely win for Andre. So I think that Gordon Ryan gets beaten in those ways, or just sticks around long enough that you start to somebody younger comes along. So I think those are the three ways we potentially see him lose. I don't think he's ever going to agree to an EBI overtime match, and he's at the point in his career where he can dictate what the rules of the match are going to be for the most part. So I just don't see him agreeing to that, mainly because EBI overtime rules are kind of dumb now. Like they were cool back in the day. They supposedly forced action, and the idea was that it led to more submissions, but it kind of just falsely leads to more submissions. It's like you're just starting in terrible spots to begin with. So yeah, someone's probably going to get submitted, but then it just made everybody's defense better, right? Which I guess has its own positives and negatives. Anyway, guys, I hope this is helpful. I know I didn't have anybody here to bounce ideas off of with me for this one, so hopefully you didn't mind listening to me jabber on. I managed to cut 10 minutes off the video, so that's good. If you have questions, comments below, or comment below, I would like to read them and ask more questions. I'm happy to answer anything and give my opinions on everything I can think of. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great one. Take it easy.